Okay, welcome to Scientific Notation Day 2. This is the last lesson in this unit. So get out your notebook and take a few notes. It'll be pretty short. Today's lesson is on calculating with scientific notation. So you want to write this down as an example. So we have 9 times 10 to the 5th, and we're going to multiply that times 1.2 times 10 to the 4th. And you've done this before. The way you're going to do this is you're going to take the coefficients and you're going to multiply those together. And when you multiply those together, you get 10.8. Then you take your exponents, your powers, and you multiply those together. And remember, you add the exponents, so you would get 10 to the 9th. Then you're going to have to change the 10.8 into proper scientific notation. The decimal has to be after the first digit, so it has to be a number between 1 and 10. This number is greater than 10. So when I move the decimal over one place to the left, then I add 1 to the exponent. So summarize, multiply the coefficients together, multiply the powers together. Remember, you add, when you have the same base, you add the exponents. And because we are moving the decimal over to the left, then I add 1 to the exponent. All right, let's now divide with scientific notation. All right, you have a number written in scientific notation, 2 times 10 to the negative 2. You're dividing that by 8 times 10 to the third. So what you're going to do is divide the coefficients. 2 divided by 8, that gives me 0.25. Then I divide 10 to the negative 2 divided by 10 to the third, and what you do is you subtract. Okay? So if you subtract, then you get 10 to the negative 5. Negative 2 minus 3 is equal to negative 5. So you end up with 2 to the negative 5. But this is not in proper scientific notation. You have to move the decimal in the coefficient to the right. Whenever you move the decimal to the coefficient to the right, you have to subtract 1 from the exponent. So subtracting negative 5 minus 1 is going to give me negative 6. So you just have to memorize those particular rules. So let's practice. All right, so we have example, I think we have 3 examples. So let's do the first one. So write the problems down. You're going to multiply the coefficients together. 3 times 8 is 24. Then you multiply the exponents together, and then you're going to add them. Actually, you multiply the powers together and you add the exponents, so you get 10 to the 7th. But this is not scientific notation. You have to move the decimal over to the left, and whenever you move it over to the left, that means you add an exponent, so you'd get 10 to the 8th. Example 2, you're raising everything to the power of 2, so you have to do 9 times 9, which is 81. 9 squared is 81. And then here, remember, you have to multiply the exponent together whenever you raise a power to a power. So you get 2 times negative 4, so you get 10 to the negative 8. And again, this is not in proper scientific notation. So if I have to move this over to the left, just like I did in the previous one, then I have to add 1 to the exponent. So I get 8.1 times 10, and a negative 8 plus 1 is negative 7. So whenever you move it to the left, move the decimal to the left, you add an exponent. Whenever you move it to the right, remember, or to the right, you're going to subtract an exponent. All right, let's look at the last example. Actually, this is not the last example. I'm sorry, there are 2 more after this. The next 2 are word problems. All right, so I'm going to take and divide. When I divide the exponents, that means I have to divide the coefficients. So I'm going to take 2.3 and use my calculator and divide it by 4.6, and I get 0.5. Then I'm going to divide this, whenever I divide, I subtract the exponents. So I do the exponent is 6 here. I'm going to subtract a -2. When I subtract a -2, I get 8. So I get times 10 to the positive 8. Now I need to move the decimal to the right. So when I move the decimal to the right, I subtract an exponent. So this becomes 5, or you could do 5.0 times 10 to the 7th, and that would be your answer. All right, let's do the 2-word problems. Okay, in example 4, the number of stars in our galaxy is 400 billion, or this number here with lots of zeros, 400 billion. So we want to write this in scientific notation. So we're going to put the decimal right after the 4. So this would be 4, and you can write it as 4.0, or you can just leave it as 4, times 10. And then on this one, since there's only one number, you're just going to count how many zeros you have, because it's going to be the same thing as moving the decimal all the way over. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So it'd be times 10 to the 11th power. Okay, next we're going to do example 5. So in 1993, there were about 31.2 million two-person households in the United States. The average income of these households was about $42,400. Find the total income generated by two-person households in 1993. So we need to do some scientific notation. So what we're going to do is we're going to take 31.2 million, and we need to write this number as in scientific notation. So the way I would do that, 31.2 million is 31.2 times 10 to the 6th. That's what they're giving you right there. So 31.2 million is 31.2 times 10 to the 6th. So I need to write that in proper scientific notation, so that would be 3.12, and because I'm moving the decimal to the left, I add an exponent, so times 10 to the 7th, and then I'm going to multiply that, because that's the number of two-person households, and then I'm going to multiply that by the average income, and the average income is 42,400. I'm going to write that in scientific notation. So that's going to become 4.24 times 10 to the, and then we have to figure out 1, 2, 3, 4, so times 10 to the 4th. So I'm going to multiply 4.24 times 10 to the 4th, and I'm going to multiply that times this first number. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the coefficients and multiply them together. 3.12 times 4.24 is 13.2288. And then I'm going to multiply my powers, which means I add the exponents. So I have times 10 to the 11th. So 7 plus 4 is 11. And then I have to write this in proper scientific notation. So I move this over one place to the left. So I get 1.32288, and then when I do that, I have to add 1 to the exponent, so I have 10 to the 12th. So that is my answer to the total income generated by a two-person household in 1993, written in scientific notation. Okay, thanks for watching, and have a great day.